Good afternoon, everyone. It is now 1:02 p.m. on Thursday, September 21st, so I'm calling this rulemaking hearing to order. Thank you all for joining us for today's public rulemaking hearing regarding the Tennessee Department of Education rule implementing changes to the Tennessee Investment and Student Achievement TISA Act definitions and direct allocations portion of the rule. My name is Nikki Keene. As the paralegal for the Tennessee Department of Education Office for General Counsel and the designated representative of the department, I will be presiding over today's hearing. This rulemaking hearing is the opportunity for the Tennessee Department of Education to gather stakeholder feedback regarding the Department Rule number 0520-12-05-.02, which makes updates to the TISA chapter definitions, and Department Rule number 0520-12-05-.05, which makes updates to the TISA direct allocation section. Information on how to join this rulemaking hearing was included in the rulemaking hearing notice filed with the Secretary of State. Please note that this hearing is being recorded and that by joining and participating in this hearing, you are consenting to being recorded. I will begin with a brief background and summary of the proposed rules. In the 2022 legislative session, Governor Lee and the Tennessee General Assembly passed the Tennessee Investment and Student Achievement TISA Act, which is Chapter 966 of the 2022 Public Acts, which will transition the state to a student-based funding formula starting in the 2023-24 school year. The TISA Act specifically requires rulemaking by the Tennessee Department of Education in certain areas to define important terms and establish processes and procedures for funding disbursements. TISA provides direct funding for student participation in career and technical education, CTE programs, to drive college and career readiness. These revisions to the TISA rules address the direct allocations component of the TISA Act. Some of the changes, among others, include the following, and I will start with the changes to the definitions portion. So the following information was removed from the definitions portion. High-wage occupations, as defined by the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development Systems, TDLWD, means occupations with entry wages 20% greater than the median entry state wage to be determined using workforce development information. Number 29, in-demand occupations as defined by the Tennessee Higher Education Commission, THEC, means subsection A, occupations having a median wage, which is at least 80% of the median wage for the region as defined, or as determined, by an analysis conducted by TDLWD at the statewide level for each local workforce development area totaling 10 regions statewide plus 9 local workforce development regions. Subsection B, occupations meeting a threshold of 0.04% of the region's total employment as published by the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development. And subsection C, occupations meeting at least two of the following three criteria. 1, the ratio of job postings to the number of individuals employed in an occupation is greater than or equal to the median ratio for all occupations in the region. 2, the ratio of hires to the number of individuals employed in an occupation is greater than or equal to the median ratio for all occupations in the region. Or 3, the ratio of projected annual job openings to employment for an occupation is greater than or equal to the median ratio for all occupations in the region. Number 51 was added in place of that. So SOC means Standard Occupation Classification SOC System. This is a federal statistical standard used by federal agencies to classify workers into occupational categories for the purpose of collecting, calculating, or disseminating data. All workers are classified into one of 867 detailed occupations according to their occupational definition. And lastly, number 59 was changed. So wage earning potential means the combination of high wage, high demand, and high skill indicators for occupations using data provided through the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development. In terms of the direct allocations portion that was edited in the rules, the following information was added for career and technical programs. Standard Occupational Classification SOC systems codes will be reviewed for alignment to each program. Roman numeral 1, for each program, the department will develop a list of aligned careers in conjunction with stakeholder groups. The list of each program will be based on the SOC codes. Roman numeral 2, for each program's list of aligned SOC codes, the SOC codes with the top 10 highest employments in Tennessee will be used in the scoring process outlined below in this rule. If a program's list of aligned SOC codes is fewer than 10 SOC codes, then available SOC codes will be used for the analysis outlined below in this rule. Section 2, programs will be scored using information on aligned SOC codes to establish the wage earning potential for each program by analyzing high wage, high demand, and high skill data points. Each of the analyses detailed below will begin with the list of up to 10 SOC codes identified within each program as detailed above. High wage score determination, subsection A. Using occupational wage data provided by the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development, TDLWD, the department will identify the top 5 median wage SOC codes within a program. If a program has fewer than 5 aligned SOC codes, then the available SOC codes will be used for the purposes of this determination. The median wages of the top 5 SOC codes will then be averaged together to produce the average median wage of the program. The resulting average median wage for each program will then be compared to the statewide median wage. The comparison will result in a score ranging from 1 to 5 for the high wage score based on the following. Subsection A, average median wages at or below the state median will earn a score of 1. B, average median wages between 100 and 120% of the statewide median will earn a score of 2. C, average median wages above 120% and 130% of the statewide median will earn a score of 3. D, average median wages above 130% to 140% of the statewide median will earn a score of 4. E, average median wages above 140% of the statewide median will earn a score of 5. Roman numeral 2, high demand score determination. A, using employment projection data provided by the TDLWD, the department will identify the top 5 in-demand SOC codes within each program based on regional prevalence of demand and volume of demand. If a program has fewer than 5 aligned SOC codes, then the available SOC codes will be used for the purposes of this determination. B, for each aligned SOC code, the in-demand indicator will be based on the number of regions in which the SOC code is identified as in demand using the following scores. A, for a SOC code identified as in demand in 8 or 9 workforce development regions, the SOC code will earn a score of 4. B, for a SOC code identified as in demand in 5 to 7 workforce development regions, the SOC code will earn a score of 3. C, for a SOC code identified as in demand in 3 to 4 workforce development regions, the SOC code will earn a score of 2. D, for a SOC code identified as in demand in 2 or fewer workforce development regions, the SOC code will earn a score of 1. E, If a SOC code is projected to have annual openings in the most recent employment projections of equal to or more than 1,000, the SOC code will earn a score of 4, regardless of the regional prevalence score determined in the above paragraphs. Section C. Scores for the top 5 in-demand SOC codes will be averaged to generate the overall high-demand score for the program, ranging from 1 to 4. D. If the sum total of annual openings projected by the most recent employment projections for the 5 top SOC codes is equal to or more than 3,000, then the program will score a 4 for the high demand score. Section 3, high skill score determination. A. Using the same set of top 5 SOC codes identified in the high wage score process and data provided by the TDLWD, the department will total the number of SOC codes with a typical entry education level above a high school diploma. If a program has fewer than 5 aligned SOC codes, then the available SOC codes will be used for the purpose of this determination. SOC codes with a typical entry education levels above a high school diploma, post-secondary non-degree award, some college, no degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, doctoral, or professional degree will generate a score of 1. SOC codes with typical entry education levels at or below the high school diploma or equivalent, or no formal education credential will generate a score of 0. B. The program will generate an overall high skill score based on the sum of the identified SOC codes using the following. A. If the sum is 5, the program will generate a score of 2. B. If the sum is 3 to 4, this program generates a score of 1. C. If the sum is less than 3, the program generates a score of 0. Roman numeral 3, weights and final program scores. 1. To determine a final program score, the high wage, high demand, and high skill scores calculated above will be weighted in the following methodology. A. High wage will be weighted at 70%. B. High demand will be weighted at 20%. C. High skill will be weighted at 10%. 2. The formula for final program score is high wage score times 0.7 plus high demand score times 0.2 plus high skill score times 0.1 equals for final program score. Roman numeral 4, tiers and additional resources. The final program scores will be divided into 3 levels based on the following methodology. A. Programs at or above the 80th percentile for all scores will be identified as level 3. B. Program scores between 40th and 80th percentile of scores will be identified as level 2. C. Program scores below the 40th percentile of scores will be identified as level 1. Roman numeral 2, additional resources. The department shall evaluate and establish a list of programs to reflect the additional resources needed. For programs identified in the top 10 of additional resources needed, if the program falls into either level 2 or level 3, then the department will apply an additional level of funding for student membership in these programs as identified in the appropriations process. The following information was removed from this section of the rule. Program weights will be assigned to each program using 2 wage potential indicators, in-demand occupations and high-wage occupations. In-demand occupations will be determined using the state's annual academic supply for occupational demand report. Programs will receive an assigned weight for each aligned occupation designated as in-demand occupation as follows. A. No statewide demand at 0.1. B. Statewide demand in 1 region at 1. C. Statewide demand in 2 regions at 2. D. Statewide demand in 3 regions at 3. E. Statewide demand in 4 regions at 4. F. Statewide demand in 5 regions at 5. G. Statewide demand in 6 regions at 6. H. Statewide demand in 7 regions at 7. I. Statewide demand in 8 regions at 8. J. statewide demand in 9 regions at 9. Roman numeral 3, high wage occupations will be determined using the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development jobs for TN wage and analytics. Programs will receive an additional weight for each aligned occupation designated as a high wage occupation multiplied at 0.5. Programs will be assigned initial program levels based on the program weights assigned above. Programs in the top quartile of program weights will be designated as level 3. Programs in the middle half of program weights will be designated as level 2. Programs in the bottom quartile of programs weights will be designated as level 1. Following initial program determination using wage earning potential indicators, weights and additional weight will be added to programs in level 2 for programs requiring additional resources to meet the program. For eligible programs, a weight will be added to the equivalent to 50% of the average program weights of all programs. If the new program weight is higher than the threshold established in the initial quartile threshold of level 3 designation, then the program will be moved to level 3. In addition, Section 4 of this rule was removed as well, and that includes the following. First-year courses aligned to multiple programs will be valued the same as a student assigned to the first year of a level 1 career and program. Second-year courses aligned to multiple programs will be valued the same as a student assigned to the second year of a level 1 career and technical education program. Third-year courses aligned to multiple programs will be valued the same as a student assigned to the third year of a level 1 career and technical program. Fourth-year courses aligned to multiple programs will be valued the same as a student assigned to the fourth year of a level 1 career and technical program. The work-based learning courses that are not aligned to specific CTE programs will be valued the same as a student to the fourth year of a level 1 career and technical program. The following was added to the rule. Subsection I. If a course appears in multiple programs and the aligned programs represent 2 or more different levels as identified in paragraph B2 of this rule, then the course will be funded at the highest level of the aligned program. Okay, and one final change that was made to this section of the rule, Section 6, the following language was added. With the exception of the first year of implementation, program levels and course assignment to progression years, while evaluated annually, will be updated for TISA funding purposes every 3 years to allow LEAs appropriate time to align programs. This re-evaluation, including additional resources analysis, will be released by July 1st on the 3-year cycle and become effective for the subsequent fiscal year, providing a full year between the release date and the year in which the data will drive updated funding implications. Okay. So additional details on specific changes to these areas were included in the proposed rulemaking hearing notice form available on the department's website. The TISA Act specifically requires rulemaking in certain areas to flesh out the law, define terms, and establish processes and procedures for funding disbursements. For the original TISA rules, the Department of Education engaged in robust stakeholder feedback from many groups and organizations across the state. No one group or stakeholder was an absolute proponent or opponent of the rules. Some groups expressed opposition to certain elements of the rule or law that had already passed, but in most instances, their opposition was only regarding a certain section of the rules. We expect the same outcome for these additional updates. With that brief explanation, I will now move to the procedures for today's rulemaking hearing. We will now take comments from any in-person attendees. We will call on speakers in order of submission, and each speaker will have 3 minutes to share their comment on the proposed rules. We ask that each speaker begin by stating their name and any organization affiliation, if applicable. After 3 minutes, we will politely move to the next person to accommodate as many speakers as possible. Please refrain from making any comments or utterances until it is your turn to speak. Please be aware that attendees who cause a disruption are subject to removal. Please remember that the purpose of the rulemaking hearing is for the department to collect feedback on these proposed rules and to inform potential revisions to the permanent rules. The rulemaking hearing is not intended to be a question and answer session with the department. The department will not be responding to comments made today, but will address each comment in writing when the permanent rules are filed with the Secretary of State's office. Additionally, please note that the department is charged with drafting rules necessary to implement the TISA Act. The department is not authorized to promulgate rules in conflict with the law. The department will review all public comments incorporating feedback into the proposed rule where appropriate and respond to public comments over the coming weeks. The department will continue to accept written public comment on the proposed rules and chapter definitions for the CTE portion of the direct allocations component in the TISA Act through September 26. Comments should be emailed to tisa.rules@tn.gov or mailed to the Department of Education at 710 James Robertson Parkway, 9th floor, Nashville, Tennessee, 37243. Attention, TISA CTE definitions proposed rules. This information is also available on the department website. Okay, so now I will take any public comment if desired. Okay. Well, hearing no public comment, as I mentioned, we will continue to accept written comments at the department email address. That email address again is tisa.rules, R-U-L-E-S, @tn.gov. The permanent rule will be sent to the Attorney General's office for approval, be published with the Secretary of State for 90 days, and go before the Joint Government Operations Committee for the Tennessee House and Senate. The Tennessee Department of Education appreciates everyone who took time out of their day to attend today's hearing. With no further business on the agenda, this hearing is adjourned. Thank you.